Welcome to our Origin series, where we bring you the origins of your favorite superheroes and villains. Now today we're going to be covering a much requested superhero, the Black Canary. But the Black Canary is a rather interesting situation. You see, there's actually been about 2 or 3 of them. Sometimes she gets an origin, sometimes it gets completely retconned, and sometimes she just doesn't have one, she just exists. So what we're going to do is start with a little bit of a Know Your Universe explaining the origins of the original Black Canary, and then we're going to give you the New 52 origin. So I hope you enjoy and please stick around. Now, the Black Canary is a rather odd situation because, as stated earlier, there are multiple Black Canaries and there have been since the start. So originally, the first one was introduced in 1947 as an undercover superhero who was infiltrating the supervillain organization. When DC revived their Golden Age heroes in the 1960s, she was brought back as a part of Earth 2, and she was married off to Larry Lance since the 1950s, which brings her into the normal annual team-ups that were happening at the time. In 1969, her husband, Larry Lance, was killed saving her, and she couldn't cope with living on Earth 2 anymore because of the constant reminders of Larry. So she moved to Earth 1 and joins the Justice League, where she begins to date Green Arrow and learns about her superpower, the Canary Cry. They then have a daughter, and the daughter gets the Canary Cry from an evil wizard. Now keep in mind, this is the really old origin of Black Canary, but the original Black Canary, Dinah, asks Johnny Thunder to cure her daughter with his Thunderbolt, but this only manages to wipe the memories out of her daughter and place her daughter into suspended animation. Well, Dinah eventually realizes that she's dying from radiation, so as a last-ditch effort, she has her own memories placed into the empty body of her own daughter, basically making our original 1940s Black Canary 60 years old in the younger body of her own daughter. Well, thank God Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, because they changed everything, making Dinah Drake Lance and Dinah Laurel Lance mother and daughter. This origin is a much simpler origin, as it's just a mother-daughter superhero team. Now, the older Black Canary doesn't have the Canary Cry, and the younger one does due to a recessive metahuman gene. From there, the younger Black Canary just became a costumed superhero. Now, the New 52 took this on a completely different direction altogether, so let's go ahead and talk about that origin in our usual dramatic reading style. Dinah's mother abandoned her at a young age of 4. She was a teenage mother and she couldn't even care for herself, let alone a child. This left the young child Dinah to think that she was a bad child, someone who deserved to be abandoned. So she acted like the bad child that she thought she was as she bounced from foster home to foster home. This continued until eventually she just ran away one night. And she probably would have just been another name on a milk carton until Desmond Lamar took her in. He was an ex-Special Forces soldier, and he established a dojo in the worst part of Gotham to help kids who were on the street. But as time went on, Desmond became more than just a trainer to Dinah. He became a father figure. She stayed in the dojo with Desmond for about 9 years until she lost him to cancer. Alone once again, Dinah attempted to continue the dojo, but it was destroyed during a battle with the League of Assassins. During this battle, though, Dinah defended herself so well in what was to be a hellish night for Gotham that she drew the attention of John Lynch. He invited her to join Team 7, a brand new elite team. With nothing left to lose, Dinah agreed, and she teamed up with Grifter in Team 7, where she was offered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You see, Team 7 figured out that she had a recessive metahuman gene, as did her secret lover, Kurt Lance. So Kurt and her agreed to allow Team 7 to test them, and just before the experiments, they secretly wed just in case. The experiment turned out to be a disaster, as it gave her the ability to cry out with sonic cries, with what would later become known as the Canary Cry. But she couldn't control the power on her own at the beginning. She needed help, and Kurt was that help. It was either their love for each other, or maybe it was his actual power, which was a psychic-based one which allowed him to control things, but somehow her own husband, Kurt Lance, was able to help her calm her powers down, or amplify them if needed. Well, Team 7 was eventually sent on a mission to recover Pandora's box from an obscure island. And during that mission, things go sour for Black Canary once again. They have a dispute with Mr. Majestic over the use of Pandora's box, but one thing is certain. If they let Mr. Majestic open that box, the world may end. Because of this, Kurt amplified Black Canary's powers to such an extreme amount that she actually sunk the entire island, and half of Team 7 was lost in this destruction. While some of the key members, such as Black Canary and Amanda Waller, survived, and they were rescued by the extraction team, Dinah lost Kurt, and she blames herself for the death of her own husband. She was then brought in for debriefing, where she was forced to reveal that they were actually married, and they had been married for quite some time, even though this was against Team 7's policy. and she was then confined to her quarters while they figured out what they were going to do with her. Well, their answer was to put her down. So Waller showed up to warn Black Canary and supply her with the uniform that Team 7 made for her before they knew they were going to be disbanded. Black Canary then escapes, and she goes on the run from the government. She eventually then returns to Gotham, teams up with the Birds of Prey, becomes a really good friend to Batgirl, and now she's apparently going on a rock tour where she's going to be the singer. But that's Black Canary in a nutshell. Now, a lot of you know her from the TV show Arrow, and that's a completely different version, but they are doing a pretty good job of trying to get it close to what we all know. Now, don't forget, we have a gaming variety channel known as Eligible Monster, where we just bring you gaming lists, gaming complete stories, and various other gaming topics. And we also have a Twitter at Comicstorian and a subreddit r/Comicstorian. Make sure you check all of that out. We really do appreciate everything you guys do for us, and I will see you next time right here at Comicstorian.